Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Wellness Wednesday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to chat about something interesting and intriguing. And today, our topic is history and identity. My very special guest is Dr. Anthony Thompson, and I'm super excited and delighted to have him here with me tonight. But before I bring him on, I need to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and your comments and questions are very much so welcome. So please, in the comments, let us know what city and state you are tuning in from so we can give you a shout out. Again, live interaction, live interactive live, and yeah, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you think about history and identity, how those two relate to one another, and maybe we'll hear a little bit about your history if you don't mind sharing. So we see Warrior Woman Powell on. Thank you for being here in Tallahassee. Appreciate you. Dr. Anthony Jones, live from Tallahassee. I appreciate you being on here, my brother. And Mr. Warren Cave, thank you for joining us, Warren. He said Tallahassee via Miami. Yes, sir. 305 in the house, but Tallahassee, yes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share some of Dr. Thompson's bio, and I know there'll be some more folks joining us momentarily. So, Dr. Anthony T. Thompson was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, graduated from Milwaukee Public Schools. He graduated from Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, where he received his bachelor's degree in social science education with a concentration in African American research and studies. Started his teaching career in Holly Springs High School, or at Holly Springs High School. Later, furthered his education through the Masters of Applied Science program in history at Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers. And as a student at FAMU, served as one of the assistant docents and archivists at the Meek Eaton Black Archives Research Center and Museum, and was a recipient of the Inspiring Authorities in Museum Management Fellowship Award. He continued his teaching career at FAMU DRS and James S. Ricker High School, where he was the District Teacher of the Year in 2016, and then James S. Ricker High School, where he was the Hispanic Heritage Month Program Coordinator and Black History Month Program Coordinator. Earned his doctorate degree from Florida State University, go Noles, in the Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, finding that a culturally relevant curriculum influences high school students' engagement in U.S. history classes. And he currently serves as Assistant Professor of History at the Tallahassee State College. Go Eagles. Y'all help me welcome Dr. Anthony Thompson. Welcome, welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here, man. I'm happy for the opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. So happy to have you. So tell the people, Dr. Thompson, who is Anthony Thompson in your own words, not what you do, but not what you do, but who are you?
Oh man. So what we do is not always who we are, man. I am a husband and I am a father. And by nature, I am an educator. but not so much as the woman and the Afrocentric thing and the Afrocentric ideology of things,
Mhm,
or at least centered in blackness. So the first educator on earth is the mother, is the mama, right?
mhm.
She teaches from the womb, and so who am I, man? I'm just African American male, black male in this country, trying to make it, man, trying to provide positive influence, positive vibes via the classroom and via my presence wherever I am. When you see goodness, you see black male. When you see black male, you see goodness, and that's what I'm trying to push out there into the universe.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So we have a few folks that have joined us. Miss Tracy Gole, thank you for being here, Tracy. Letitia, good evening. In Tallahassee, thank you for being here. Marcus Boston in Tampa, appreciate you being here. He said, welcome, Dr. Thompson. And my sister, Sonya B. We do feminine wellness events, and actually, we are launching our menopause sister circle this coming Sunday. So,
Okay.
for being here, because that reminded me to give us a shout out. So that'll be 3 o'clock. I'm sorry, at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And so there's information out on our social media platforms about all of that. So thank you for being here, Sonya B. All right. So history and identity. I want to start out with just, sharing from your perspective why history is important.
Man, history is so important, especially when from my profession, coming from teaching K-12. I taught high school for 15, 16 years, man, and now I'm a college educator of history at Tallahassee State College. And one of the things that I noticed over the years is that when students understand who they are, they have a better understanding of the potential to which they can have
Mhm.
throughout life. That's my favorite thing as it relates to teaching history. History is so important because people can fully understand their potential. People can fully reach back. It's the principle of Sankofa, if you will. And I don't want to get too far off into that. But in order to know where you are going, you have to be able to look back and see where you come from. And
Love
that's a part of history. That's a part of the
it.
importance of understanding what history is.
Absolutely agreed. So, Warrior Woman Power said, I have learned a lot since becoming a member of the Tallahassee African American Genealogy Society on how to research family history.
Oh yeah, no, that is a big deal. Man, I want to work so closely with them. It don't make sense, but my schedule got so crazy this semester.
Yeah.
I reached out to I can't even call the woman's name, man, but she's a powerful leader over their
It-
organization, and I
It's,
I want to work with them, but shoot, I just yeah,
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
it's gonna come down the pipeline. Perhaps this summer I have a little bit more time to work. But yeah, I got 7 classes this semester. I just couldn't
Yeah,
get with them. But that's a true comment, man. It's starting to understand your history is
mhm,
really starting to understand your own family's history, understanding who you are.
mhm,
There's this ideology of a worldview that's typically talked about in sociology and psychology, but the one and the same. It's a social science theory that you are defined within yourself based upon the people to which are around you and the wider spectrum of what you are around. Basically, many of us are products of our environment. And so sometimes, you know what I mean, in the classroom, I'll get kids or whatever age to which they may be, whether it be high school to college kids, man, and I'll get them and they may not have a full understanding of the operations of the society at large, but I bet you they understand the society to which is in their household. They understand that history better than they understand anything else. And so we reach into our history and reach into our understanding of who we are in our family history, and that genealogy, and going back into that history. We can start there to begin to heal as a people within this country.
Ooh, so y'all didn't even know history had healing, did you? But it does. It has the potential. So we got Miss Jeanette down in Miami. We appreciate you being here, Miss Jeanette. I think that's Kesey. Thank you for being here. My mom down in Miami. Love you, Ma. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, mama.
Yes. So, who you said a lot. So I want to hear from the viewers. What has, and Warrior Woman already kind of started us off with what my question is. How has history benefited you in your life? Let us know. I know that might be a heavy question, but just something brief. How has history benefited you in your life? It could be your own personal history. It could be American history, African American history, world history. How has history benefited you in your life? I know one of the um I'm gonna call it a quote, famous quote is that if you don't know your history,
Yeah, you're deemed to repeat it.
yes, right. And
Yeah.
so I think some of that is what we are encountering today in 2025, right?
Yes, for sure. It's a lot of policies that have been passed, whether it be within our state or within our country, that kind of wants to thwart the uh, the evidentiary science of history. You know
Mm,
what I mean? It's based on evidence, of nothing else. And
mhm,
so as we develop new evidence of a lot of people say, well, that's not the history I learned. Well, maybe the evidence of the history to which you learned wasn't present yet. But
mm,
there's new historians, there's younger historians, there's more powerful historians that have come about that is changing history every day.
mm,
And they're bringing light to stories about peoples in this country that are empowering them.
mm,
And you got to ask yourself, why is it that they may not want me to learn my history? Why is it that they don't want little Deontay or little Janiqua to learn her history? And it
mm,
might it might be with purpose. It might be with the purpose of them not understanding their full potential. Because again, the principle is, if I understand who I am, I know exactly what I can become. If I can understand the powers of Booker T. Washington, if I can understand the powers of Madam C.J. Walker, if I can understand the powers of the many different people that come before me, then I can understand what I could be, what I fully could become. You know what I mean? Even if it's just within my family, if I can understand what grandma and them had to go through, if I can understand what grandpa and them had to go through, then I understand what I could fully become. I can understand, you know what I mean? It's not just about, you know what I'm saying? Just going back to teaching, man. And I know I'm seeing some comments, and I'm gonna let folks say their things. But we gotta get to the comments, because that's why we're here. We here for the people. But boy, when I taught high school, man, one of the things that my students had was a very limited worldview.
mm.
And having a limited worldview would limit their sights on the horizons for the potentials of the many things to which they become. So one of the things that I had to challenge them with is introducing to them so much history. I mean, just inundating them with so much history that they would be, I can be anything. I don't have to just be what's limited to me, what's in my own neighborhood.
Amen. All right. No, great comments. Felicia Dilber, who was on the show on Monday, she says, "Say that." Yes, thank you for being here, Felicia. All right, so we got Dr. Iris on. She said, "Hello, this is Iris from Tallahassee. History has benefited me and made me appreciate some of the advantages I have today. Fought hard. I'm sorry, people fought hard for me to live the life I benefit from today. I'm grateful." Yes, thank you for that. Marcus, at 14, I read the book Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington. This changed me from acting hood and valuing education.
Education. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Marcus. Marcus is a 17, I think, time author. So he
Woo.
breaks out the books. Okay. All right. Faja, thank you for being here. She said, I agree. I think history starts with your lineage. So healing starts at home, just like charity starts at home. Living in
Mhm.
Tallahassee, I'm learning it from the elders, not the so-called history books.
Oh yes.
Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that,
yeah.
Faja. Yeah. You want to say something about that?
Oh no, he's right. The so-called history books, you have to be careful about who writing your history, because they could change your narrative. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And so yeah, he's right about that, the so-called history books. But
Yeah.
Carter G. Woodson told us that, man, we can become miseducated. I don't know if we ever learned that lesson from that, I know that he knows who Carter G. Woodson is.
Yes,
Or the
she does.
miseducation. Oh, she. I'm sorry.
Yes, she. Yes. Okay. All right. And then again, I think this is key. She said, history benefits me because when I know better, I work hard to do better. Knowledge
Yeah,
is power, and history allows for a changed future for generations to come. Love it.
yeah.
All right. And we got Mr. On the Shoulders of Giants himself, Mr. Joe Ward. So Joe, I call him a self-made historian because this brother, I don't believe he went to school to study history, but he has published 3 books that are talk about the African experience in North America, South America, and Central America. All of them are called On the Shoulders of Giants. So he researched these folks and writes about them in his books.
Man,
So yeah.
very powerful brother, man. I gotta purchase some of your work. You got to
Yeah,
connect with me so I can purchase your work. Please let me know.
absolutely. Warren, there's a lot from both sides. History has to be accepted for the good and the bad. Ooh, you hitting it right on the head.
Yes.
Thompson, I was just saying how we have leaders that want history to be one-sided.
No, for sure, for
Mm.
sure, and that's true. I don't want to get too far off into the politics because
Yeah.
I am a state employee.
Yes, yes, well,
You understand what I'm saying? I have to protect my home.
for sure.
But at the same time, yes, I totally agree with what you're saying. We can't have unbiased history. History is an evidentiary science. It is a social science, and
Mm.
since it's a social science, we must approach it unbiasedly. And when we see the biases coming in, that means the countering of what we know to be true. But truth shall set you free. That's the only thing that's going to get the snot out of the nasty nose of this country. That's the only thing that's going to get the rut out of the eye of this country to be able to see straight. And you know how your mama used to do you when you was little? You know
Mm.
what I mean? And when you used to wake up in the morning and you used to have, ashy on your face and stuff like that, snot in your nose. Well, it takes a mother to really get all of that stuff out of you. And
Mm.
then you can go out into the world and be what she knows that you can become so that you can
Right.
learn to what you can become. And that only starts with that unbiased, that unselfish love. We have
Absolutely.
to love ourselves. And by the showing that we're being biased and cutting out that history, showing that we ain't really loving ourselves as a country, not as a people.
Indeed. All right. And Warren further said there's a push to have history accepted through the eyes and lens of certain people. Mhm.
Yep.
Indeed.
Just was talking about that.
Indeed. All right. And then Joseph said, I appreciate you, Nicole. Yes, sir. Let's connect. All right, cool. Janita, thank you for being here. Saw her last night at the town hall. She said, for me, learning history explores the vast differences in creativity of Black people. We may be the same race, but the culture and experiences are vast. We are not a monolith.
Oh no, not at all. We aren't we never been. If you study our history strong enough, you understand that we have so many. If you and when if you study, it didn't start with slavery.
Right.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the continent of Africa. And you understand that there's, you got the West African civilization, you got the Nile Valley civilizations, you got the Bantu people, you got all of these different peoples that help make up the continent of Africa, and it had all of these different ethnicities and cultures within it. All of them were different. All of them were operating differently, and with that being stated, when we got that free boat ride, if you will, to be brought over here to the country, we got a special set of jewelry, the chains
Mm,
that we didn't ask for. One of the things that happened is there was some commonalities between us because we understood the common struggle to which we had, and
mm,
they had to separate us. They separated us so much that they had to divide us when we even started doing a different language that they couldn't understand. And that different language was through our creativity. It was
mm,
through the drums. It was through our dancing. And they said,
mm,
we got to stop. They had to ban the drums on the ships so that
mm.
they could stop us from communicating with one another. So yeah, I totally agree that we're not monolithic, but there are some commonalities that bring us together that's dominant into our psyche as a people. And we must recognize those commonalities so that we can move forward within this country.
Absolutely. So yeah, she said commonalities, but Major differences. Keisha just joined us. Thank you for being here. Letitia had a comment. She said, exploring my family's history has provided insight into my behaviors and has supported my healing journey following the recent loss of both my parents. So sorry to hear that.
Yeah, my condolences.
Yeah, definitely. I began this exploration earlier this year. All right. Yeah, no, I think so. When we talk about even like our biological makeup, right? Knowing family history, knowing, our genetic history can be
Yeah.
very helpful to helping us understanding ourselves, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Mhm.
We're not monolithic. You know what I mean? Don't let this skin fool you. You know what I mean? We all come from the continent of the place, but we are very different, and have been boxed into one thing. But we are different people, and just having a better understanding. I'm not a biologist, nor am I a geologist or anything like that, but I do know that understanding DNA. I mean, even just outside of understanding the DNA, you got to have those crucial conversations when you meet somebody. Like, how many people in your family have had mental illnesses? Do you have any of those mental illnesses? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just to prepare yourself for the offspring which you're trying to bring into this world, which is the
Right.
purpose of why we're here.
Absolutely. So Warrior Woman said, I suggest having DNA done because you can learn about your family journey. Agreed, agreed, agreed. And Warren, he says, I don't work for the state. I work for Jesus, so I'm gonna say it. Stupidity is stupidity. They can take history out of the schools, libraries, etc., but can't take it out of Amazon. Yes, sir.
That's
He
for
said,
sure.
funny but true. I have to say this. An older guy told us years ago in Miami to not go fishing with the opposites. He said, research history. That's how they tricked us. I know now he taught history.
Yeah, for sure, for
Mm,
sure, for sure. Um, you know, I believe Malcolm X said it best, and I'm paraphrasing his quote. But why would anybody let the enemy teach their children? Is the question to which he asked, and that's important to understand. I don't want anybody that I know that's not in the best interest of me to teach the future of my generations.
mhm,
And one of the things that we have to understand as it relates to identity with that is that if we can understand, I'm going to say this over and over again because I wanted to get stuck in people's head, because this is when we do understand who we are, man, we can really truly understand where we're going as a people. You know what I mean? And a part of that are those commonalities, those things that bring us together. Even though we have all of these different things that make us different, which is beautiful. You know what I mean? Because there is beauty in the diversity of this country, even within our own people. However, once we be able to understand who we are collectively, this, what I'm saying, I go by the teachings of I I understand the teachings, excuse me, of Dr. Naeem Akbar of here at Tallahassee, Florida, man. And when he talks about the collective self, when he talks about the idea of self, the community of self, when we know who we are and we have this collective democratic sanity, they're the things to which we can agree upon within ourselves that are sane. Okay, so let me give you a better example. You know how we used to be able to watch the news, and we
mhm.
used to be able to go, when somebody committed a crime without even showing a picture, we knew we didn't do it. That was a collective democratic sanity that we knew, that we understood. And that came from the backbones of our grandparents. That came from the backbones of the people that come before us. When we know those things, or if in the instance to which we start losing that type of identity, then we truly may even be lost. And the only
Yeah.
way that we can get that back is through, well, like the brother said, Amazon, and through them books that which we can be able to teach ourselves. Yes.
Well, and also through our elders, as Faja mentioned, one of the things that I do as often as I can when I am around my family members that are elders, and not just my parents, but I have older cousins, my aunts. I have one great aunt remaining. And so I get them, I record them telling me about their first memory, about what school was like, about their first job, how they met their spouse, you know. those types of experiences, their military experience. And so, if we don't collect those stories, they are going to go to the grave.
Yeah, one of the things and you're absolutely right, man. One of the things to try to connect our past selves to our present selves is West Africa had a West African and West Africans today even have something called a griot, where that's the family historians. They put it in song, and we have to continue on those traditions, man. Our elders are our griots. They are the key holders. They are the pathways to not only just our past but to our futures too, because
Yes.
they know what we can become. You know
Mm,
what I mean? This is why they were so hard on us. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? When grandma used to grab your ear in church, when grandma used to, or when granddad used to snatch you up, that
Mm,
wasn't because you was just acting bad, but they knew what you needed to be. They understood what you needed to become,
yes.
how to get you right.
Yes. We need you to be right too. All right. Warrior Woman said, I love to sit with the elders. Me too. Me too. Donda just joined us. She's here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here, Donda. Warren said, does everyone on this post know that Florida just adopted a law for school that's fresh out of the pages of Project 2025? It's a way to teach and train people to learn only what they want you to.
Yeah, I,
Mhm.
I believe what Brother Warren is referring to is talking about the one of the new civic civic literacy what is it, standards that they're putting together for the curriculum in the
Got
state of Florida. Yeah, we just have to be careful, man. I don't want to talk about it from a
No,
policy maker
that's
standpoint.
fine. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's fine.
but here's what I will say. It has to have some type of pool, and once the pool gets going, once the pool gets going within the classroom, it has to have buy-in from the teachers. And if it don't have buy-in from the teachers,
Yeah, it
so
won't be
that's so
it won't get
I'll
implemented.
silence myself on that.
Yeah, it won't get implemented.
Yeah.
All right, we got Miss Sheena Monet on with us. Thank you for being here. Marcus mentioned I never got to meet either of my grandfathers. They both passed before I was born.
Mm.
So, what I would encourage you, Marcus, is to maybe talk to someone or several people who may have known your grandfathers if they're still living, right? To ask them what he was like or what they were like, what type of work they did. Maybe if they engaged with them socially, what were some of the things they like to do? And somebody mentioned genealogy, so maybe see if and I know Marcus is originally, I believe, from Chicago, but I'm sure there's got to be a genealogy society up there if that's where your grandfathers resided. So, maybe you can find something with their names, if you having their names and maybe their date of birth or where they were born might give some contact clues to how you can find out more about them, even though um, they weren't alive when you were born.
Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
One of the if I can help them out a little bit, or I can help anybody on here. um you can, if you're living in the state of Florida, or if you're from the Tallahassee area, you can go to the state archives on the third floor. They let you do the genealogy for free up there, as long as you do it up there on the floor, at their desktop computers. And you can sit up there for as long as you want to do your research. You can leave and come back. You can create you a login and all of that. Another thing too is some websites that you can do right at your house. It might cost you a fee, but it's worth it. You can go through the Freedmen's Bureau archives. There's through each southern state should have a Freedmen's Bureau. It does have a Freedmen's Bureau archives, where to which you can look up some family history through last names, through potential, dare I say, owners, and even potential plantations to which your family history might have reside,
Mm,
if you of African American descent, that is.
absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, Warrior Woman said, I say we go back to separate but equal. Hmm. we,
So
we appreciate your perspective. Janita, she says sometimes it's hard to engage family on history, especially within a family that has secrets. Ooh, that's a good one.
oh man, yeah, no,
All right.
that's true.
What you want to say? You want to say something about that?
No, but you gotta know your limits, and that's one of them that I know.
You
I don't have,
definitely, yeah.
but I do want to say this. She's absolutely right, though. We do have to open up that window so
Yeah.
that the real healing can begin. Man, it's so much stuff that's going. It might be difficult to
Mm,
talk to people, but in the grand scheme of identity, and understanding your history is well worth the going. You got to go through the hurt to get, you got to go through the pain to get to the sunshine. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And so I think that that's important that we do, heal that wound through going through those instances, those stories of
Mm,
our past.
mhm. She further said, I'm going to take advantage of those resources mentioned. I need to find answers. Yes. And definitely hoping and praying and wishing that you do find the answers. I think in that you are seeking, I really do believe that you will find Janita and so many others that, are looking to find some answers as it relates to their family history. I actually literally got a call this week from a clinician that's been on my show whose husband doesn't know his father,
Mm.
but they did an ancestry and the DNA test and has some what would appear to be first cousins that live in Tallahassee.
Oh wow.
So she was asking me about the names of all of these people
Mm.
who could potentially be relatives of her husband.
Okay.
And so I'm supposed to be doing my research to try to find out. Like she has the obituary of somebody who might be related, but like all of these other people that were listed, because he had about 8 children, were like listed as like first cousins of her husband. And
Mm-hmm.
so he's been, looking, trying to figure it all out. So she sent me some context clues. So I'm going to ask a few people that I know whose names I think were the same people that I know that were in the obituary listed, to find out, because this has been like a big question mark for him all his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I hope he can close the door on that journey.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So we are a little more than halfway through our conversation. The time is flying by. I'm loving this dialogue and these questions and comments from the viewers. So thank you all for that. But for those of you who are just tuning in, I am on with Dr. Anthony Thompson. We are talking history and identity. History and identity. So Warren said one of the biggest things about history from where I come from is now trying to understand and learn about grown foods and processed foods from my genealogy. Okay.
Oh man, yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. It says you talking over my head, brother.
Mm.
That's why I got to read some of your materials.
Well, that's Warren, not Joe, but
Oh, okay,
yes,
okay, but yeah,
but
but
no,
he
it's a
sees.
great point
It
though.
is. It
Mm,
really is.
yeah,
What we put in us. So oftentimes, we are what we eat, man. We are what we eat, and we have to do better with what we put in ourselves, so that way we can be here to defend ourselves.
absolutely.
One of the things that they did during the Holocaust and enslavement of African American people in the United States was not only did they ban them from reading and writing, but they banned them from growing their own crops so that they can be dependent on the slave master, so that they can tell them, if you not strong enough to eat, or if you're not, if you can't grow your own food, you ain't strong enough to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just to kind of piggyback off of what we was talking about, when you have food deserts in certain areas, fresh fruit deserts in certain areas, you got to ask yourself, why is it that, why that may be? They understand who you are and who you could be. Why don't you?
Mm. Good point. Donna said, I loved our seniors from childhood and have gained great respect and knowledge while serving them. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Donda.
Mhm.
Sonia, she said, I never met my father's mother. She is passed before I was born. I tried to learn more about her from my sister, my great aunt, and she said I should let sleeping dogs lie. I was
Ooh.
nervous. Mm. Yeah,
Well,
there's truly a story there or two.
uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I hope you are able to find her and find out something about her. Faja, she said, just had a kitchen conversation with my daughter and she just found out about an uncle she didn't know she had. Those conversations must begin to take place.
No, for sure they do. They have to take place
Yeah,
just for the safety of our communities.
for sure, for sure, for sure. So we've kind of touched on censorship, but is there anything, more that you want to add as it relates to it without, you know, I guess getting in trouble, if you will?
Yeah, well, no, I don't think that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know
Mm,
what I mean? And the best way to stay out of trouble, you know what I'm saying, is to not have to deal with it. And for the case of myself, but I don't stop the folks from the comments from saying what they need to say.
right,
And
right.
that's what's beautiful about these type of conversations. It's just a
It is.
conversation.
It
You know what I
is.
mean? I'm not in a position to be trying to, this is just us talking, and I'm free to be able to do that. But yeah, there's some policies that have been passed, and there's some things that have been passed in the past that still don't really stop people from doing what they need to do in the classroom.
Mhm,
If I could tell a story about myself, there was when I was a first year teacher,
mhm,
I was teaching world history, and I was in Holly Springs, Mississippi. My principal was an African American male. He was an older gentleman, and I didn't understand one of his tactics. We were getting ready to be accredited through
mhm,
SACS accreditation, and so they had to come into the school, and they had to look at all the curriculum. They had to look at all the classrooms and things like that. And one of the things that I had in my classroom was these pictures of these African Americans. I taught predominantly African American and Hispanic children.
mhm,
And so I had these pictures of these great African Americans, the great Hispanic Americans all across my room, just trying to inspire them. And when my principal came to my room to review before the SACS accreditors came in, he told me I needed to take all of them down. I was furious. I didn't understand why. Well, later on, I realized that if I needed to be able to teach them same children with the same passion that I needed and compassion that I have to be able to teach them, he understood that there needed to be a school first for me to be able to teach in. And so
mm,
if they would have came in there and saw them pictures, they would have discredited the school. There would be no place for me to teach them black and brown children.
mm.
And
Gotcha.
so so teachers find ways, parents find ways.
Mhm,
There's local historians, they find ways to be able to still spread the information that need to be spread to our children. We can't let schools be the only place to teach our kids. That's one of our problems in the first place. But I
ooh.
ain't gonna talk about that.
Say
Go
that. So but you are absolutely right. And to the extent that maybe the parents don't have it, then look in the community to see if there are some supplements or take them to the library,
Mhm.
check out some books, read the books together, look
Yeah.
at some, check out some videos or some movies that, are documentaries about it. Joseph Ward, who is Mr. On the Shoulders of Giants, he teaches Black History School on Saturdays to the children.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, look and see what's available out there. We have the world at our fingertips, right? With these
Yes.
devices, right?
Mhm.
So, take the time to educate yourself. That actually brings up another point that I want to explore, and that's how important is it to fact check?
Oh boy, it's extremely important to fact check. So when it comes to our history,
Mhm,
when it just comes to history, and you're gonna hear me say this over and over again, it is an evidentiary science. It is based on evidence. It's a science that's based on evidence.
mhm,
And so the internet has a lot of stuff floating around, and people believe that if it's said over and over and over again, if it's repeated over and over again in different places, it must be true. You have ways of fact checking things, man. You know what I mean? Even if you go through a wiki page, you can go to the resources down in the wiki page, and if the resource, you can click the resources, and if it don't bring you up a legitimate book, if it don't bring you up a legitimate source, and it comes from somebody's own personal website or something like that, then that might not be the best source to believe the information where it comes from. And so being able to fact check things, I'm a college professor. I love talking about my history. I love talking about United States history. I love talking about world history. Whatever history in which I can talk about, I'm going to talk about. I like to believe that I'm trained in the subjects to which I teach. A lot of us will talk about this stuff for free. You know what I mean? And so what it really takes is people to it takes a connection between the community and its resources to be able to really have good fact checking about things that are said. I have former students. This is the joys of my profession, is being able to watch my students fact check other folk. You know what I mean? Dr. Thompson, I hear this Mr. T or Dr. T or Dr. Thompson, somebody said this, and I was in class and I had to put them in check. Because I know that ain't what you taught, or I know that ain't what I heard. I know that I didn't get that from this type of research, and so that's one of the joys that I have of being a teacher, is hearing students go out and fact check folk. And so, yeah, we can do it. We can do it as a people. We can do it we can do it amongst our own community if we just understand how to connect the resources to the people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and I know we've talked about this some, but more specifically, talk about what history can do for identity. And when I say that, I mean from the standpoint of the pride, of the confidence, of the just like you saying, your students saying, I had to check somebody, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so one of the things that I found through my research is that when students know who they are, not only do they want to know more about themselves, but they want to know more about other people, and that increases engagement. But a part of increasing that engagement also increases a sense of self-pride and self-understanding. Pride and self-understanding are synonymous with one another. I can't understand myself, and I can't not understand who I am and then not love myself. If I love myself, I have an understanding of who I am. And once I understand who I am, I can begin to have a self-reflection on the people that are around me. I could begin to look at that person over there and say, that person may not love themselves. I could begin to look over there in that corner and look at that person and say, okay, that person might love themselves. I might need to connect with that person. You know what I mean? But that only comes through self-understanding. And so with that self-understanding in the classroom, students can begin to engage more, and they can begin to look across other cultures and understand the common cross-sectionalities of what it really means to be who they can potentially be in this country. And so to answer your question more succinctly, as it relates to history and identity, when I told you I was going to repeat this over and over again because I find it to be true. When people have a full understanding of who they are, they can fully understand their full potential. Now, to give you a historical perspective of this, Dr. Mammy and Dr. Kenneth Clark, Kenneth B. Clark, they did the Black Doll study. And the Black Doll study, to catch people up, was this psychological study that they did amongst African American children in the 1940s and the 1950s to help pass the Brown versus the Board of Education court case, which desegregated schools, but it was more about integration of schools, and I explain that in a better way later in a moment. But the Black Doll test was that they put a black doll versus a white doll amongst some children of color, and they basically said, which one is the good doll, which one is the ugly doll, Which one is the smart doll? They begin to ask these different variant of questions about the identity of the dolls, and the children almost always answered negatively based upon their own racial ethnic background, and positively for the ethnic background of which one they weren't, which is the white doll, right? And so, uh-oh.
No, you
And so, with that being stated, oddly enough, that after this research has been replicated over and over and over again, we still see the same results within children's classrooms up until the 2020s. They're still doing this, and so then we have to ask ourselves, what is it about our children that still don't believe that they're beautiful, that still don't believe that they're smart, that still don't believe that they're capable and more than what they can potentially be that's said upon them, right? And with that being stated, it was the whole purpose of that court case wasn't just about the desegregation of schools. It wasn't about us going on over there and doing away with our own institutions, but it was more about the integration and the resources. See, they understood that we needed to fight for the resources to be able to have those things that were for ourselves. We were calling out the system. That's one of the things that we're not doing well today. It's calling out the system and the policies and saying, hey, we understand what you're doing. We understand what the effects that it can have on our children and the effects that it's still having on our children. And so, we one of the things we have to look at is ourselves. What are we doing? We all Project 2025 this, Project 26 that, whatever the project is, what we doing? We had to ask ourselves, what are we doing to teach our children? What are we doing to protect ourselves? You know what I'm saying? And that ain't got nothing to do with nobody else's policy. That has something to do with our own identity. Who are we? Who are we?
Thompson on fire, y'all. He about to jump through the screen. Listen.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good. All right. So Warrior Woman said, you are so right. One thing I appreciate about the Powell Moody family reunion, we have a family history session. Well, work on our family tree. I think maybe we work on our family tree and history and ensure the children are involved.
Right.
And the Black National Anthem and Black Family Pledge are done. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. James Weldon Johnson is a Floridian, man, Jacksonville. He was the principal of the oldest Black school in the state of Florida, Stanton. And he was able to, do a lot more than just that. He actually was passing something called, he was actually trying to pass a anti-lynching law with writing that song. He was trying to do a cross-sectionality thing. If you look at the lyrics to that song, it's more about overcoming. It's more about self-pride than it is anything else. You know what I mean? And so he was like, if we can get a Black children to sing this song, or if he can get his brother to write this, he had a brother that was a classical pianist and composer that actually made the poem into a song. He said, if I could get this out to the masses and we can get these people to believe in themselves, imagine what they could potentially do. What they could potentially do.
What they could potentially do. What you've been talking about all night is the potential, right?
Yes.
So I got to shout out Dr. Patrice Minor Floyd, who is the curator and founder of Javasia Arts Conservatory. And she teaches Black and brown children how to play classical instruments, specifically violin, but all of the classical instruments. And so she has a distinguished Black Classical Excellence Awards. I'm probably mixing up the words a little bit, but she brings Black composers to this area. She just had the first one, the inaugural event in January. She's planning the second one that's coming January of 2026. But highlighting and raising awareness around Black classical composers, current and, going on. And so I think that is so just timely with as it relates to what you are speaking of. On the shoulders of giants, Joe Ward said, our history is a tool best used when we learn it, understand it, and apply what we learned and understand.
For sure. For sure.
Ashe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I ain't got nothing else to say on that. That brother, he's absolutely right about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. And Sheena Monet said, many Black parents don't tell their Black children how beautiful, handsome, and intelligent they are. They need to hear this often.
For sure, they do. They really do. Um, and it just builds. It just builds so many things. We like, I think a lot of times, man, in this country, we forget we minorities because of the pockets that we live in. You know what I mean? We are the minority, and so when we are the minority in this country, there's messages that's being sent subliminally and liminally to our children that's telling them that they aren't worthy. And
Right.
so one of the first teachers, I started this conversation talking about who the first teachers were, and that's our mamas. And they,
Mm,
you know what I'm saying? And that comes from the womb.
right.
And if you're lucky, it'll go to the tomb, you know what I mean? Because that person will be with you forever.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I was talking about is how they are the first educators. They're the first teachers of who we are and what we could fully become.
Mm-hmm.
And if we truly believe in that, then we understand that everything that we pour into our children is going to affect what they can be and what they will be.
Mm-hmm. Yes, love it. Donda, we also need to learn of past medical history. Yes, 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 yes.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit
Earlier.
already. Yeah, and I ain't the medical doctor to sit here on this platform and have that type of conversation, but I believe you're absolutely right because you hate to run into the wrong cousin.
Mm. Listen,
I'm just saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Joe, he said we have Black History School every second and fourth Saturday. Okay, so I stand corrected. Second and fourth Saturday at Carter's Corner. Classes start at 11 a.m.
Yes, sir.
So definitely, Joe, if you don't mind putting that information, how folks can connect or get their children involved in your Black History School on the second and fourth Saturday of the month in the comments, that would be greatly appreciated. So let us know. Ooh, all right. So I think we have really covered everything, but the main thing was that I really wanted us to um, recognize that our history, our identity is wrapped in our history.
It
And
is.
while, it may be challenging to get to the history because folks are no longer here or because we have secrets in the family. But to the extent that you can find, if it's not a family member, a friend of your deceased loved one, or go to Ancestry or utilize some of the resources that you mentioned earlier, Dr. Thompson, to help, you know, figure out the pieces of that puzzle, because we talking about your identity, right?
Yeah.
These people,
Hmm.
blood runs in your veins. You are of the same DNA, and it may help to unlock some pieces of you that you have been curious about and need to know more about, right?
Right. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, man, sometimes the oppressed learn the tools of the oppressor. And so what do I mean by that? We as a people, we and what we've talked about in this chat so far and what we've been talking about in this conversation is some people talking about, oh, the past, and we got some secrets in the family. This country got secrets.
Mm-hmm.
This country has secrets, and they're starting to be revealed. And guess what the country is doing? Every time a new Black historian comes out, every time there's another On the Shoulders of Giants come out, you know what they're doing? This country is beginning to heal when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So what that mean for your family? What that mean for your identity and your family? You gotta dig into them secrets. You gotta reveal that stuff in order to heal.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right. We got Miss Brooke Hobbs on. Thank you for joining us, Brooke. She said, when I was a child, my mom and her friends created a summer school program that focused on African history, geography, languages, astronomy, uh, Black American history, dance, drumming, yoga, and nutrition. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need more of that for
We
sure.
do.
For
We
sure, for
do.
sure. Warren, also, I've been stuck with the philosophy for our future generations. I am focused on kids and younger ones learning their history, but I'm trying to get them to know they're the solution and inheritance. Yes.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Love
For
it.
sure.
And more, I would just add that to the extent that they aren't able to find their blood history, share stories of others that look like them that did great and wonderful things. I believe, and Joe, you can back me up on this or correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what the Black History School is all about, right?
Mhm.
Sharing these stories of some of these kind of unsung heroes. And, I know February is Black History Month, and now we got Juneteenth that we can add on to that, or Emancipation Day if you're here in Florida, 20th of May. But it's 365,
Oh yeah,
right?
as it should be. And
Mhm.
then and that's one of the beautiful things, man. We can fully be once we fully become aware of ourselves, we have a slow self-actualization, using terms of psychology and using terms of sociology. We have a full self-actualization. Once
Yeah.
we can fully actualize ourselves, we can fully understand that not just the potential, but then we can begin to have cross-sectionality conversations. We begin to reach across the aisle and start talking with other people and
Yeah.
start saying we have more alike than we have differences. And we can
Absolutely.
begin to start healing not just our communities, but the communities to which we are adjacent to.
Absolutely. So I see your comment. I'm gonna come back to it in just a minute. Warren said, I'm the solution, I'm the inheritance, and I look at where I come from with the intent to create my future for generations to come. Love that.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Warrior Woman, I found it hard to find info on Native Americans as my great grandmother is Native.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're in a great state if you're in Florida, because there are resources. What I strongly encourage you to do is to find out more about your grandmother as it relates to where she lived, and find if you can find what you will be able to find is not just through the Freedmen's Bureau's paper, but also you can go through the papers of the American Missionary Association, where many of the Native American people were converted to Christianity. They kept records on them. That's the AMA papers, American Missionary Association. You can find that online as well.
All right. I've also heard the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons,
Hmm.
they have a lot of historical records.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
but it might not be free.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. So the AMA has a great deal of research. The AMA and the American Missionary Association, the American hell, you might even want to look into the Catholic Church, depending on the religion of your family.
Mm.
They may have that Native American Black connection history as well for you.
All right, very good. All right, Ishmael Rents, my FAMU freshman brother in Gainesville. Thank you for being here. He said it's very important that we don't take a hagiography, I don't know what that is,
Huh.
ish, approach to our history, particularly our proceeding relatives. A realism approach allows us to push past failures or questionable findings.
Yeah, and it's an evidentiary science. I think I understand what he's talking about.
Okay.
And so he does have a point, because because I guess what he's saying is it could become very isolated, and
Okay.
and people's history can become fragmented upon so many fragments. But
Mhm.
again, we can't dismiss those histories either, because we can begin to find the commonalities between all those smaller things. That's why we need to have that collective history. That's why
Yeah.
we need to have that collective democratic sanity to begin to agree upon the things to which we're going to allow to happen in our communities. And that's only we can only begin to agree on those things based on our histories.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
if we don't know our histories, then how are we going to agree on where we're going?
Indeed. All right. Brooke, the Dawes rolls.
The
Lost,
dollar.
what is it?
No, I added something else. Be the Dawes Rose.
Okay.
She's right about that as well.
Have great information on indigenous North American people. All right. Thank you for sharing that. We need to get us a whole list of the resources that are available. So
Hmm.
maybe if you can find some time over the break, Dr. Thompson, you could put us something together. We could put that out to the viewers.
For sure, I'll do that. I'll do that. If you put it on my to-do list, and I got it. I promise.
Okay, wonderful. I appreciate that. All right, so we have actually come to the end of our conversation, but I want to give you, Dr. Thompson, an opportunity to give some closing remarks and tell the folks how they can connect with you.
All righty. Well, thank you all so much for just showing up and coming to the conversation, man. This was a very new experience for me. I got to tell you that I was talking to Nicole and I was telling her how nervous I was. I didn't know if I was going to under talk or over talk, but I know I just talked. And she welcomed me, and I appreciate that. But and so you can contact me through Instagram, man. It's down there on the banner below. And you can contact me through my website, historicalconnections.com, to where I talk about the services to which I provide. I don't give any prices because I'm trying to get my foot off the ground. You know how I go. And so if you can just help me out, man, and just give me some things to do so I can prove to the people that I'm worthy of doing the things. Okay. And then I can start doing all the money stuff later on. But for right now, I can't say that I'm absolutely doing things for free, but I'm doing things for free. You understand what I'm saying? And so just get with me, man. But if you want to, if I want to connect with the people to open up conversations and have opportunities, connect with me through my Instagram handle as well, Dr. Anthony _Thompson 06 EDU.
Very good. All right. So y'all heard that he ain't doing things for free, but he's doing things for free. So definitely connect with him. Brooke, proud of you, friend. This should be your next lane. You may as well start teaching on TikTok.
I gotta learn TikTok first.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard. All right, Marcus, yes, please like and share this broadcast. Tell the people, Marcus. When Marcus get on here, he is my cheerleader. So I appreciate you so much because I'm not the best promoter of Conversations with Nicole show. But yes, please subscribe to Conversations with Nicole on YouTube. Follow on TikTok, Conversations with Nicole. And we're also Facebook Conversations with Nicole. We're here every Monday and Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Focus on mental health, primarily in Black and Brown communities. Today, man, identity. That covers so much, right? History and identity. So we talked about all of the things today as it relates to that. So definitely join us here because this is the type of conversations we have. And like he said, share the broadcast. So pass this link along to somebody that you think may benefit from it. Okay, because subscribing is supporting, and we want to just spread the word about identity and history and the importance of it. So we have quite a few folks that are chiming in. Ms. Janita, good conversation. This was great. Please send the resources. Thank you. Look, Janita's all about the resources. She's trying to find her people, okay? All right. Warren, great show, great topics. Thank you so much. Warrior Woman, my phone died, but I'm back. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate you. Ms. Patrice, marvelous show. Thank you for being here with us, ma'am. Janita, if you missed the TMH FSU Town Hall, go listen to the replay. Tell them, Janita, tell the people they need to go listen to the replay because Conversation with Nicole had it live yesterday. All right. So, yes, listen to the replay and there'll be more to come. So, we'll give you next steps very, very soon as it relates to the FSU TMH merger. So, stay tuned. All right. Well, good people. It's classic weekends. So y'all be safe out in these streets. If y'all going to Orlando, we want to see the Rattlers whoop up on those Wildcats. And have a happy holiday. We'll be here next week, though, Mondays and Wednesdays. So tune in. All right. Listen, have a great rest of the week. And we'll see you soon. Bye.